Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to challenge number 3 review for the Virtual Design Master. We are here live again on this Friday night or Saturday morning for some, so thank you all for coming out and watching live. And if you're not watching live, you're watching this video, thank you again. We're really happy with the program here. It's been an intense struggle to get through this challenge, and we've got some pretty amazing stuff to share today. And not much more to say than I'm very proud of the content that's coming through, and it's a pretty incredible program that we're bringing together right now. So, of course, without further ado, let's go through the roll call. I want to say thank you again to Angelo Luciani. Angelo, of course, co-creator of the Virtual Design Master. Welcome again on this Friday night, and what do we have in front of us today?
Hi, Eric. Hi, everyone. Tonight's an exciting night as we're getting closer to selecting the Virtual Design Master. So it's getting really tight. Competition's tough, and we'll see where these two guys end up.
It's going to be we are down to the wire. So as we head out of challenge 3, we're going into the final competition. So the intensity is rising, and as a result, there's only going to be 2 phases that walk into the final challenge, and this is going to be a really intense judgment here. We have with us, of course, Chris Wall. Chris, welcome aboard again. Happy Friday, and thank you for coming out. And of course, we also have Josh Atwell today with us. Josh is well dressed and coming straight out of an event, so thank you again, Josh, for coming out. Unfortunately, our remaining judges are here in heart and thought only. Unfortunately, they weren't able to attend today. The challenge of time schedules and time zones. And in the competitor side, we have Jonathan Frappier. Jonathan, welcome again. And of course, Akmal Wahid. Akmal coming all the way from India, and so it's morning in his world. So thank you again for coming to Akmal. Of course, the Virtual Design Master is not just brought to you by us, but it is brought to you by some spectacular sponsors, and that's the most important thing. We want to be able to reach out to our guys because they are, in fact, the ones that are making this possible. Hopefully, you're watching this live on our app, which is available through the iTunes Store and also through Google Play Store. If you go to virtualdesignmaster.com, and there are 2 links on the site. You can download the app and watch us online. You can follow the entire competition along the way, read about our competitors, and read about the individual challenges. That's brought to you by Radical.io. So go to radicalio.com if you want some more mobile news and excitement on mobile technology. They've got some really great products up there kicking out there. So thank you to Ian and the team from Radical.io for putting together that for us. And of course, we're brought to you by baremetalcloud.com. And in fact, this is going to be a very significant as we head into the challenge that we're going into in challenge 4. We'll talk about that shortly. And of course, Trade Signal is brought to you by Pluralsight. So they are offering, as part of the final competition, an entire year subscription to all of the learning library of both Pluralsight and the entire catalog that was available in Train Signal. So you can get a whole variety of products available there, and so we've got guys like Chris Wall, who did a great vCloud presentation there. We've got Scott Lowe, talks about his vSphere design modules, and then everything from soup to nuts on the development side. So we're actually incredibly satisfied with the merge with Pluralsight and some great content for our competitors. And I would encourage you all to reach out and go check out pluralsight.com and sign up for a trial and take a look at the great content they've got there. So, sorry about the beep there. It's unfortunate I didn't even mute myself. I've made the terrible error. So, to recap Challenge 3, we started out in Challenge 1, and we talked about virtual design in laying out an entire virtual data center, and we got some really incredible designs. We walked in here with a large pool of people, and they had a lot to be able to contribute to here. And as we stripped people back and we worked our way down into the smaller competitor pool, then we headed into Challenge 2, where they not only had to take the first design that they had, but they had to strip that back, and they lost their entire primary data center. And they had to be able to present a way to recover the entire data center into the remaining 2 sites. So that was an incredible challenge, and we saw some amazing designs, some really creative ideas in how that was done. And then we moved on. We flattened the pool effectively. We moved out of our traditional data center designs, and then we wanted to talk about automation and orchestration. Josh, being with us today, kicked off our V Brown Bag this week, which is a new automation. It's called Automate All the Things. It's a series, so watch the V Brown Bag, and you're going to see some amazing stuff in there. And in fact, we have some really cool stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, which was stuff that was submitted by Jonathan and by Akmal, and we are really proud of the stuff that's come through there. And so heading into Challenge 4, we are going to be going into taking the concepts that they've done through Challenge 3, and we're going to move them one step further. One last shout out I want to give to talk about community, because the entire program that we brought to you here is around community and the sharing of information and being able to take this great stuff, which is why all the presentations that are done, all of the designs are presented fully, and you can reach back into us, and we can connect you guys with the competitors and with the judges, and this is what it's all about, is being able to share this information and grow together and highlight the knowledge that's in our community. Unfortunately, in community, we don't always have amazing and good things to share. We have some challenging things to share. As we found out last week, we had a challenge with Gabriel Chapman, who's known to many as Bacon is King on Twitter. Gabriel's a great guy, and we all know him well, and unfortunately he's had some personal challenges in his family with cancer. And so what was done was a really great initiative was brought up by Trevor Potts with some work from John Harris as well from V Brown Bag and V Mug fame, and he's known as the V Cake guy. So they've created something called Podcasting for Cancer, and this is a really cool initiative. So if you want to go to twitter.com/vpodcasting, and there's a link there to the Indiegogo. I don't know the numbers right now, and I apologize. I should have had that ready to go, but let's just say we had an aim within 60 days to be able to raise $5,000 for the American Cancer Society. Not only did we reach that, but it was surpassed, and right now it's nearly doubled. So thank you to everybody that's contributed, and don't feel that you need to stop because we've reached that goal, because ultimately until cancer is eradicated from this world and until we can all say that it's a thing of the past, we've never reached our goal. So please go to twitter.com/vpodcasting, take a look at the program, and reach out to the guys that started this. It's a really great initiative, probably the best exhibit of what community is. So Angelo, let's start it off here. We're going to have our guys come in, and each presenter is going to talk about their design and what they did. Angelo, of course, is going to lead us through that process. So go ahead, Angelo.
Thanks, Eric. So just a reminder to recap, guys, you'll have 3 minutes to defend your design. And as the judge asks you questions, I'm going to limit your answers to 2 minutes. I really want to tighten down your answers, and so that you give the judges specific answers to their questions. So I will jump in if you're going long, or if I feel that you're going off track or you haven't answered. I will jump in. I will be quite firm. So we really want to tighten that up. So I'm going to start with Akmal. You have 3 minutes to defend, starting now.
Hi, everyone. So this time there were 3 tasks. The first task was to automate the deployment of virtual servers. So the automation product which I chose was vCenter Orchestrator, which comes along with the vCenter installation. So to start with this task, I had a golden image created. So the 2 operating systems which I selected was Server 2008 and Rails 6. So I created these gold images, and to start with my first task, I created 2 workflows. The first workflow was to clone the Server 2008 virtual server, and the second workflow to clone the Red Hat Linux Enterprise Linux virtual server. Now, to make it more easier, I combined both the workflow, and I had a single workflow which will just ask 2 inputs: the name of the virtual server, which would be the new deployment, and the guest operating system selection. So the user select the guest operating system, and automatically the respective cloning workflow would work, and automatically the virtual server would be deployed on the data center. So that was my first task. Second task was to deploy the web server on the cloned or the virtual servers which we create in the first task. On the server 2008, we need to install the IIS role for that, I used the commands which were available on the Microsoft website. I created a batch file. Now here also I created two workflows. The first workflow is to move the file to the destination or virtual server. Second workflow is to run that file. So I was about to make I was about to combine both of these workflows, but unfortunately I couldn't do that due to time constraint. The third task is to publish this server to cloud. So I chose vCenter vCloud Director. Now here the other requirement was to have a private cloud deployed so that I can demonstrate this. So here in the third task, I had two workflows. The same first workflow which I used in the first task to clone, and the second workflow to export this virtual machine in a VApp that can be published on a vCloud Director catalog. So here also I couldn't complete the configuration of the vCloud, so I couldn't demonstrate, but I have the workflow which should work if I have vCloud Director available. So that was about it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Akmal. You're right under the 3 minutes. So remember, I'm gonna jump in if your answers go a little long. So just keep that in mind. We'll start with Chris. Any questions for Akmal?
Yeah, be careful if you answer and you exceed 2 minutes. I think he'll beat you with a fish or something. So I had a question about, so I reviewed all your videos and the documentation, and really just around this second piece in the workflow. Why did you choose to go that route where you're copying a file and running the file instead of something like PowerShell or something where you're just calling the server directly?
Yeah, so here, to be honest, I'm not that great with PowerShell, but the second option I chose because this will not only just help for running one kind of workflow. So suppose I have some tasks where I have to run multiple functionalities. So I can just copy the files. I can push the files to the destination machine, and just I have other workflow to install them in sequence. Or if there is any interdependability, I can have some waiting object there or some script which will first run the first task and then the second task and the third task. So I think in that way I can have multiple tasks completed with a single workflow.
All right.
Josh, any questions for Akmal?
Yeah, actually, I was going along the same lines as Chris, just wanting a little clarification about why you were doing the copy. One challenge that you can get into when performing that kind of task gets into your permissions on that system. If you have administrative permissions, that makes it a lot easier. But being able to copy a file over and then execute that remotely, that's a challenge that you can get into. I would have liked to have seen that addressed a little bit more, but your answer is sufficient. I mean, especially in the timeline that you had, and that this is kind of a fictitious scenario. I mean, that's perfectly acceptable. But the thing with automation is there's multiple ways to skin that cat and be able to solve a problem, and you got it solved. So
great, good, thanks. Okay, we're going to move on to Jonathan. Jonathan, you're going to have 3 minutes to defend your design starting now.
Hopefully you took Latin from my design because what I had was a more of a generic template that I started with filling in, and quite honestly here really just to accept that I didn't complete the challenge in time. I had a product in mind that I thought was going to be able to accomplish the task I wanted. It was a product I had used in the past to automate things like log monitoring, parsing, application deployment, and they had recently, within the last year or so, added some VMware integration, which turned out to be not very good VMware integration. So I lost a couple of days trying to get that piece of it working, and quite honestly, by the time I got through with that, I just ran out of time to get the documentation and the design actually written.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. We'll start with Josh. Any questions for Jonathan?
Well, my first question was going to be with the embotics about why you chose that. I think you touched on that as a product that you went with. Um, what scoping did you do with this project or this challenge with that product? What could you have done, or what did you do to try to prevent that roadblock that you ran across?
I had a few different products in mind that I wanted to use. Embotics was honestly on my mind more towards potentially the next challenge. Um, I knew there were some automation capabilities within the product, but really landed on that more out of the clock ticking down on me, so to speak. Originally started off wanting to look at vCenter Orchestrator, Puppet, a product called Automate, which is the one I was referring to earlier that I had used to do some application deployments in the past, um, and really was came down to ease of use to get that one going fairly quickly.
Great. Chris, any questions for Jonathan?
Yeah, so I saw your workflow. I mean, logically, it makes sense. If you could redo the challenge over, having gone through and gotten the experience that you have, where do you think you would have made some changes along the way?
I would have had. I wouldn't have lost 2 days trying to get a product to do something it wasn't really meant to do. It looked like it had the capabilities to do it. I would have focused on getting that one specific application working for the deployment pieces that I know it can work for, and maybe simplify the VM deployment request piece of it versus trying to wedge that into another product and have everything run from one location.
Fair enough.
Just a question for the judges on the designs. Josh, Chris, do you feel that the participants maybe were in their designs sort of went too complicated rather than simple is better? Like, because I know I forgot who mentioned earlier. Why not use PowerShell? Why not use tools that are handy rather than sort of going out and thinking big. So any thoughts on that, guys, judges?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead. We were doing a stalemate there to see who would talk first. You go ahead.
You're too polite. Yeah, I mean, in my experience, PowerShell is a good. I don't want to say one-off tool, but it's definitely something where typically when you create it, it's for someone who kind of understands PowerShell or some kind of scripting language. It takes a lot of effort to make a front end to that. So I kind of see the thought behind going like something like Orchestrator, where it kind of is designed to integrate directly into the client so that somebody can use it. Not saying that PowerShell can't be used in that way, but it's definitely a bit more effort. So I think that makes sense to use something like Orchestrator, just because it makes it more repeatable and more user-friendly. But in this case, yes, having known that one of the major constraints of this piece of the challenge was time, it may have been easier just to get to the finish line simply by going something that's kind of quick and dirty, scripting one-off. So that's kind of my thoughts around it.
Yeah, great. Josh, anything to add?
Anytime you're trying to automate stuff, and the list of things that you have that we have in this challenge are pretty common, right? They're the types of things that you're going to be looked to do as an architect, as an engineer, as an administrator. And the approach, I think, for both of the competitors was solid, right? And Jonathan made a point about how he was trying to set himself up well for the next challenge, which is actually a really good thing because it does show that the foresight into looking at what your end goal really needs to be. So I'm actually really glad to hear that. Actually, I don't consider it a whole lot of penalty for hitting a roadblock there, because that is what automation and trying to do that, you're going to hit stuff like that. So I definitely think that everybody approached it with the right idea. And interestingly enough, as I've seen through each one of these challenges, they both did it slightly differently, which I find, both interesting and fun, because it could have been very easy for both competitors to have a nearly identical approach, but they didn't.
Yeah, great, good. Thanks, Josh. Eric, I'm going to throw it back to you.
All right. Well, it's I love the stories that I'm hearing, and obviously both guys. We talked about time limitations and hitting the wall for a variety of reasons, and rightly so. The purpose of the Virtual Design Master is not necessarily to see the stuff from start to finish. It's supposed to show the journey from start to finish, and the point is the direction in which you're going, the choice of the direction, the justification for making changes, for pivoting along the way. It's incredible to see the skill level of these guys, and I've got an amazing respect. Obviously, our judges, the panel themselves are masters in this realm. If you look at the work that's been done by Chris and by Josh and Scott and Mike that have been done in these environments, it's great leadership to bring us through there. I love seeing the products that are going on here. vCenter Orchestrator, of course, getting some love. And that was a great topic that Josh brought up on the V Brown Bag this week. So again, I'd always encourage anybody that's watching this to go back and check out professionalvmware.com and watch the series there. It's going to be some really neat stuff. And of course, guys, you did something amazing. Now, Virtual Design Master is not Ink Master. So luckily, when you get halfway done, no one's left with a halfway done tattoo. This one just means that we get a halfway done orchestration process, but the idea of the workflow that has been laid out. And luckily, keep those handy, because this is where we go into challenge number 4. Now, as you may notice, in challenge number 4, we are going to have 2 competitors. And ladies and gentlemen who are watching, I want to welcome you aboard to the competitors walking into challenge 2. Joe Graziano, unfortunately, had some challenges, and he has been pulled from the competition. So here we are. So I'd like to thank you all for what you've done so far and present our final 2 challengers going in. We have Akmal Wahid and we have Jonathan Frappier, who are now vying for the single title of Virtual Design Master. And the way that they're going to do this is they're going to take the skills that they illustrated up to this point, and we're going to take these skills and we're going to put them into the cloud. So thank you to our fine friends at baremetalcloud.com, because they're going to be providing the environment for challenge number 4. Now, you thought challenge number 3 was intense, where we had to create 2 distinct servers to deploy applications in there, deploy code inside those applications, develop and document those workflows. That's just a taste of the kind of stuff that we're going to see going into challenge number 4. In challenge number 4, each of our competitors is going to be given 2 physical servers in the baremetalcloud.com environment. Out of those 2 servers, they're going to create 2 distinct cloud environments. The idea behind this is that you need to be able to create 2 separate clouds as if they're in disparate networks, whether they're on the same subnet or not. Regardless of that, what we're trying to show is that you have 2 distinct cloud environments that are going to live and breathe separately, and then you're going to deploy workloads into those clouds and show us how you can transfer workloads in between these 2 distinct clouds. So the team at baremetalcloud.com have been a huge supporter of our program coming up to this, and we're super thankful that they're going to provide the environment, because obviously there was no better way to be able to show off the skills of our true Virtual Design Master than to put them right out into this world, and we're pretty proud about that. Now, that's going to be a heavy challenge that we go into, so we're going to present that. Guys, you're going to get your credentials to get into the environment. We're going to pass along your contact information to the team at Bare Metal. They're going to reach out to you, and we're going to set the start time. We're actually going to bump the submission date probably by a day, just because if we have any shuttling of dates, we want to make sure you guys do have some time. Now, choice of cloud. In the same way that we walked into Challenge 3, Challenge 4 is the same flexibility. You guys have made some real distinct choices in moving into the VMware environment, and we really support that. It's a great direction. vCloud Director, there's a reason that name comes up very often. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to show how you can transfer workloads between different vCloud Director instances using vCloud Connector and using whatever tools and orchestration techniques you can. And what we want to show in number 4 here is not just being able to lay down the groundwork, but to be able to do something amazing. So if you want to go over and above, if you want to show us hybrid links back to a local lab, so much the better. But ultimately, you're going to be presented with a heavy-duty challenge, and we're going to see a live, living cloud that you're then going to turn over the keys to the kingdom to our judges, and they're going to be able to walk in your garden, and they're going to be able to take a look around your cloud environment and look at it from end to end in your live designs. So this is no longer paper challenges. This is going to be the real deal. So, Akmal, what do you have to say? Are you looking forward to challenge number 4? And what are your thoughts on what you want to see going into this?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very excited about this challenge, as to reach to the final is it's a great achievement, and to represent in front of judges like Chris and Josh would be a great opportunity to prove myself and to prove others that we can design. Now it's about cloud computing, so it's has to be very logical, and let's see what best I can do here.
Great, thanks very much, Akmal, and congratulations on making it to the final 2. Jonathan, so here you are. Congratulations, just was with Akmal. Welcome to the final 2. We're very proud to see some V Brown Bag love getting shown here, and obviously we've got a big challenge ahead of us. And how do you think you feel going into the 4th challenge?
I'll just be honest, I'm scared. It's I've lived in vCenter, vSphere world. I have not lived in the cloud world, so this is this will be a challenge.
Well, and that's exactly what this is about. This is about showing the growth that we take, and these are the paths that people are going to follow. If guys that are out in this world and we're working the traditional, we've gone from the traditional rack and stack, we've moved into virtualization. Now we're taking that virtualization, we've moved out of that, and we've moved into orchestrated and managed workloads, and now we're taking it to this next logical step, moving into the cloud. It's a pretty proud moment to watch guys like you and the great skills that you presented up to now, and the goal of this is we want to push people outside of their comfort zone. So truthfully, this is the greatest thing to watch, because I've seen you guys grow in great ways, and the products you've produced and all of our competitors have produced has been pretty incredible. So Chris, I'll give you first crack. What do you want to see out of our challengers going into challenge number 4?
I'd like to see an environment that I can't break, so some place where I can just randomly disconnect things. No, I'm really looking forward to seeing how you construct clouds, especially hearing we have a person that's slightly fearful of clouds, so hopefully that'll help you get over that hump and get the experience that you're looking for. But also just to see kind of what you come up with, because every challenge, and we've touched on this pretty much every time, but it's really, really cool to see different people come up with different solutions given the same requirements. And that's something I typically don't get to do just because I'm on the side filling the requirements, so the only solution I see is mine. So it's been a pleasure to get to see what you guys come up with. I'm looking forward to it.
Josh, you're a cloud man. Tell us about what you want to see out of our guys coming into challenge number 4.
Sometimes I'd say I'm a little bit more cloudy than actually cloud. So the big thing for me, and even in challenge 3, recognizing the amount of effort required to produce workflows and that actually function, and in this challenge being able to produce actual clouds and have workloads moving between those clouds and things like that. For me, it's going to be very important that you are addressing critical design considerations on what it's going to take to be able to accomplish this. So and that's not to provide you an out per se on actually succeeding, but my questions are going to be directed on if I see things that might not have been addressed on how to do that, and to Chris's point about it being bulletproof or to be able to not break it. Those are the types of things I'm going to be looking for. So keep those things in mind as you're looking to implement, because when you're doing this for a customer, you got to do it because their business may absolutely rely on it. And if you're not taking that into consideration, that could be a problem.
And of course, in the classic vein of open challenge that we've done here, like I said, we don't want to detract from the work that was done by both, but we also want to highlight the originality that took place in the challenges. So so guys, Chris and Josh, I'm going to quickly ask you to, if you've got to take your choice and you had to put a nod in the direction, looking at what Akmal and what Jonathan did coming into challenge 3 on thought, on product choice, and on execution, how do you feel the guys did? And if you had to say that what stood out, and where would you bring one in at number 1? Because we do have to make some hard choices on what we saw was a real top-notch delivery. So Chris, let's start with you. What were you really proud of when you saw out of the two guys' submissions this time?
Yeah, I got to give the nod to Akmal on this one. I got the videos that came in that showed, kind of a proof in the pudding, showed the workflows working, and the fact that everything was all documented, the entire workflow was actually printed out so you could see all the decision points and the code in the workflow. It kind of felt like a deliverable almost, something you would be happy to receive as a customer. So I think it was very complete in the level of documentation. And aside from that, I like that you called out specifically where you just weren't able to make it happen, like resources in your lab were not sufficient to spin up a vCloud environment, and I know that's not a small thing to try to spin up. So the fact that you still made the workflow, showed it off, and just said, these are where I had some problems, and we're very honest about that. So great job.
Josh, or perhaps Dr. John Hammond?
Yeah, my wife just walked by and she's like, "You're not wearing your hat," so she handed it to me. So I put on my hat. Yeah, I keep it light. So, I want to start by saying that, what Jonathan did with the Embotix product, and I like the direction that he was going. It actually gave me something else to look into. I think he could have provided a lot more on where his plans were and where his roadblocks were, in his documentation. Kind of to Chris's point with what Akmal had done. But that being said, Akmal, completed the challenge. He was able to get the workflows working. I wasn't able to get YouTube working on one of the videos, but the documentation, to Chris's point, was something that a customer would feel good about paying for, and that's really what it comes down to. Because if you're doing architecture design and you're consulting, if people aren't willing to pay for what you've done, then what's the point, right? So I think that Akmal had the most complete solution and the best deliverable. So I'll definitely give the nod, tip of my hat to Akmal on this one.
There we go. So Angelo, as we come into closing here, so Akmal, we're going to say again, congratulations for a solid delivery. Jonathan, congratulations on the work that was done. Obviously we took some learnings out of what's happened here. Again, it's not to detract from the product that you put in. You really went down the road with some exciting ideas, and the great thing was, you showed us how that happened, and you talked about it. Quite often, one of the things that we don't put the focus on is that it's okay to fail, and in fact, the best thing you can do is fail and understand why, and that's what makes a virtual design master. It's not just being able to come up with a theoretical, but to practice what we preach, and putting things into practice means that we observe failure and we learn from that. So it's pretty cool. So Angelo, as we wind down, we're heading into challenge 4. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, this is exciting. We're finally here, guys. I know last episode I told the guys to take a sigh of relief, and you guys can do that now as well. Just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you need help with vCloud Director, Chris Wall has a video training series on train signal, so you may want to watch that, cram that in this weekend. It's great to see, as Eric mentioned, you guys grow over this time. That's one of the main goals of Virtual Design Master, is to leverage the judges, learn from the judges, because these guys are superstars. to help you grow and develop in your own career, and we're seeing that, and we hope that's something that you're getting out of it. Because I know I am, and I'm sure Eric is as well. And it's also our hope that the community grows as we post the solution designs on the web and share the content with the community. So this is it, guys. One of you guys will be virtual design master. So this is exciting.
So Josh, as we wind down, what words of advice do you have to bring us to a close?
Oh, that's really heavy responsibility there.
Don't worry, I'm making Chris do the next one, so it's all right.
All right, at least I'm not last. Yeah, I think Angelo's spot on. I mean, you guys getting to this point, you put a considerable amount of effort. You've demonstrated high competence and capability. So go into this last challenge. Trepidation, that's good. If you're not a little out of your comfort zone, then you're not really growing. So just go in with confidence. You guys have an opportunity to probably do something that you didn't even realize you could do.
Yeah.
Chris, final words.
Make them good.
I was gonna make a joke about being muted or something, but I think Josh is tired of that.
I don't think I'm allowed to be tired of it. It'll never go away.
I won't beat any dead horses because a lot of good points were made, but I do want to make a point and kind of re-emphasize the fact that those watching the recording or watching live may think, oh, this stuff looks pretty easy or not. But you got to remember, behind the scenes, there's a pretty strict time limit to get these challenges completed, and it's not like this is a day job. So I think regardless of how close you get to the finish line or all the way, the fact that we're seeing all this content coming out in such a short period of time, after hours kind of effort, is phenomenal. So don't let any point in which you reach your finish line really discourage you, because as long as you're learning something, it's definitely worth it, both for you and the audience. So looking forward to the next one.
Excellent.
That's
well,
great.
Again, so thank you, Akmal Wahid, Jonathan Frappier, our final two as we head into challenge number 4. Thank you again to Chris Wall of wallnetwork.com, Josh Atwell of vtesseract.com, Angela Luciani, well known as virtuwise.com, so make sure you head over there. Some great content popping up. We're pretty proud of that. And myself, my name is Eric Wright from discoposse.com. Thank you to all the Virtual Design Master judges, participants, and all of our sponsors, and especially to baremetalcloud.com, where we are going to go live into our final challenge. So thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.